Hello, my fellow nerds, and welcome to the Nerd Empire. I hope you all are having a fantastic day today, and I hope you all will enjoy today's reaction video. With that being said, let's get right into it, shall we? First video we have here is from Rev Says Desu, and it is titled as I'm about to make a lot of people angry. So, Rev has a lot of good videos. He's a great content creator. I like him. But let's see what he has in this video that'll make a lot of people angry.
Hey, what's up guys, Riff here. So every time I see one of these threads on Twitter, I know it's a great opportunity for some content. So if you're not familiar with this type of post, it's asking for hot takes on VTubing, whether it's VTubers themselves or the related communities or whatever. And unlike a lot of the people who are either delusional or too afraid, I will give you the actual answers to some of these. You don't have to agree with all of them, but I think where I'm coming from is pretty reasonable because it's largely common sense at this point, okay? So let's jump right into it. The first one says, too many VTubers deal with drama like we're still in high school.
Yeah. I mean, if you go through Twitter, the amount of drama you see throughout, like, the entire VTubing sphere, it kind of feels like a bunch of teenagers spreading gossip for just gossip's sake. And there are a lot of people who take a lot of the things like out of context, or they exaggerate it, or people just, air out stuff that probably shouldn't have been aired out, and it turns into this giant drama fest. And it feels, every time I see it, it just makes me feel like I'm back in high school listening to a bunch of fucking people just gossiping, like, who fucking cares. There was another VTuber that I watch, like, her her answer to it was because it's mainly because the vast majority of the VTubing sphere is women. And this might sound bad, but I kind of agree, because by nature women like to gossip with each other, as far as I have seen and I have heard. Oh, that felt really good. Women like to gossip with each other. It's like it's in their nature. It's how they're wired. And a lot of the from what she said, a lot of the drama is mainly from women. I was like, well, it's, if it's coming from a woman, I can't really disagree, because I don't really see many of the drama stuff coming from the male VTubers. I see the vast majority of it coming from the female VTubers, and coming from the parasocial people who are just like so obsessed with them, they have to white knight everything.
Yes, a lot of VTubers and content creators generally, they are reliving high school. Except with VTubers, this time they're reliving high school with an attractive anime girl model, which ups their levels of delusion and narcissism even more. And the way they handle drama and controversy, as well as interpersonal issues, is very high school. You know how many Google Docs I've seen dropped on people over the slightest of disagreements, or people having public feuds over things that could be settled with a quick exchange of private DMs? But yeah, a lot of people reliving high school, and it is very, very pathetic. Now, of course, this one will generate a lot of response. This person says, a lot of VTubers complain about parasocial behavior from fans, but the simple fact is many present themselves as sexually available and willing in a very personal sense, and not just as an act. At that point, you're basically bringing it on yourself.
It's basically these people that they're portraying like a girlfriend or boyfriend experience. So in a sense, yes, they do kind of bring it on themselves. They like this thing says, they portray themselves as readily available, either in a sexual way or any other way. They that's how they portray themselves, like they're readily available for a relationship. And they get these people who see that and want to try and talk to them and get to know them and possibly get to know them to the point where they, in a sense, attain them as a friend, girlfriend, boyfriend, or more, or whatever. And a lot of these people tend to take it a bit too far, to the point where it's getting into like very creepy and stalkerish territory. So it's just like, if you don't want these sort of parasocial people, try and not present yourself or portray yourself as readily available for such things. And then maybe a lot of that will cut down. It's not going to permanently go away, because there are people who, despite you being in a relationship or not, if you've told people and people know that you're in a relationship, it doesn't matter to them. They'll be parasocial because they're fucking nuts.
Now, a lot of people on Twitter will read this last part and say, uh-oh, you're victim blaming. Well, unfortunately for them, they have no reading comprehension based on the context up here.
Yeah, a lot of people, when they read this sort of stuff, they see one part that triggers their brain the most, and then for some reason they instantly forget the rest of it, and they take what one sentence says out of context from the rest of the fucking paragraph. It's like, did you read it like 3 times and then say your piece? Because you can't just see the last sentence saying at that point you're basically bringing it on yourself, and then forget the fucking rest of it. Because you basically did bring it on yourself. Like I said, you portrayed yourself as readily available, as sexually available. And you could do what you want, but you have to be careful of how you portray yourself to your audience, because there are insane dumbasses.
And also, the people who are angry about this last part are probably guilty of the previous part. Can I tell you how many dommy, mommy VTubers who have like Fansly accounts and cater to the girlfriend experience and have like nothing but sexual content and always present themselves as available and single, who go around and say, oh my gosh, how did I attract all these lonely men? That is your core audience, pretty much. That is what you're catering to. Do not be a shocked Pikachu face when you attract lonely weirdos, when you present yourself as available and all of your content is sexual and you provide a girlfriend experience. There's so many VTubers who do this and are shocked at the results. And recently I even saw a VTuber who I'm not going to name because I think they just want attention, but they posted a selfie that was safe for work. And they're like, oh my gosh, all the people in the replies are saying sexual things to me. This is horrible. I was looking at their account.
I believe I know the VTuber that he's alluring to. I cannot for the life of me remember their name, but I think Rev has talked about them before. It was either Rev or somebody else that has talked to them before. They have like a Fansly account or something like that where they post all this sexual shit. And it's how she's portraying herself. And on like her Twitter or whatever, she has a lot of safe for work pictures. And it's like, why are you complaining that all these people are saying sexual shit when you are the one at fault for portraying yourself as a sexual person and posting these not safe for work photos and shit? How are you surprised by this? If you don't want that sort of stuff, don't post that sort of stuff.
Literally, the previous post was them practically naked. And that's really all of their content. And it's like, really? It's all an act. It's very performative, just like many things in the VTubing scene. But here's one. VTweeters are not VTubers.
Yes, this one's not is not really it's not a hot take at all. It's lukewarm, if not cold. It's true. VTweeters are not VTubers. You cannot be a VTuber until you are making content, streaming, and that sort of stuff. You have to either be posting videos or streaming or doing something of the sort like that to be considered a VTuber. If you are if you have a character and if you're only tweeting, you're not a VTuber. You have to either have a PNG, 2D, or a 3D model and actually streaming and making content. If all you're doing is VTweeting and whatever, you're not a VTuber. It's how it is. I don't make the rules. It's just how it is.
We asked for hot takes, ma'am. Yeah, this is very agreeable. In case you don't know what a VTweeter is, it's someone who does pretty much everything a VTuber does except make actual content. It's very funny. Okay, they'll pay for models or they'll plan on getting models. They'll shape their entire account like that of a VTuber. They have all these big plans, but they never actually do anything. In fact, the closest thing they do to making content is tweeting and virtue signaling largely because that gets a lot of seal clapping from fellow VTubers. But let's go to the next one. This one is actually the reason I discovered this thread. This is getting a lot of conversation, and you'll see why. Okay? Hot take, the VTuber community preaches diversity and inclusion nonstop, but it's an echo chamber. Left-wing or super progressive views get endless claps and collabs, while anything right of center or even moderate conservative instantly triggers hate mobs, cancellations, and no collab lists. Real friends in a healthy scene should let VTubers have wildly different political opinions without torching relationships. Grow up. True diversity means tolerating views you disagree with, not demanding everyone thinks the same.
All right, I wanna go through this little by little. Try and get where he's sort of out of the way here. All right. The VTuber community preaches diversity and inclusion nonstop, but it's a total echo chamber, left-wing, super progressive. Views get endless claps and collabs, while anything right of center or even moderate conservative in... what's this? Oh, David Concrete. Thank you very much for the sub, for the YouTube sub. Welcome to my nerd empire. Anything right of center, even moderate conservative, instantly triggers hate mobs, cancellations, and no collab lists. So, first thing, VTuber community. VTubing is not really a community. There are communities that VTubers have, but it's more of a VTuber space or sphere. It's not really a community in itself. But the VTubing space, at least those who actually have a, logically thinking brain, we do welcome any and all who wish to become VTubers. I mean, I don't see why anyone should be excluded from becoming a VTuber. It's for anybody as long as you have the money to, get a model. It can be. There are cheap ones out there you can get, but it can be quite expensive depending on what you go for. But yeah, it's like it. We welcome anybody who wants to join, as long as you're not a fucking dick. And yeah, it's true. It's like the left wing and super progressive. They do get like endless seal claps, like yay, yay, yes, yes. You go, girl, or whatever. It's a horrible thing. The reason why a lot of the, I would say, right of center or moderate conservative or that they trigger hate mobs, cancellations, or whatever, is because those people, they don't, how to put it, I'm trying to think, I'm having a brain fart of how to put it correctly. They don't like I'm trying to think of the fucking word. There's a word for it that I can't fucking think of. They don't support the like the other people's fantasy world or fantasy views that are just illogical and stupid, because they're not based in reality. And the people who are like right of center or conservative, these people are they stay within reality. They think logically. They say things that are true and backed up by fact and are, like I said, based in reality. And these people who are left-wing, super progressive, they don't like that because it doesn't support their fantasy. It doesn't support their truth, whatever the fuck they want to call it. Because it's not progressive. It's not inclusive. It's not diverse. I'll say this, not everything in the world needs diversity and inclusivity. Not everything fucking needs it. In fact, if you make everything inclusive and diverse, it just makes it worse. Real friends and a healthy scene should let VTubers have wildly different political opinions without torching relationships. Absolutely agree with that. You are never in a million years going to find another person who agrees with you and aligns with you absolutely perfectly 100%. You are just not going to find it. It's not going to happen. The only person who's going to align with you perfectly is the person you see in the mirror, yourself. There are going to be people who are going to have slightly different opinions and views, or wildly different opinions and views. Just because they don't align with you politically or for anything else, it doesn't mean that they're a horrible person and they can't be your friend. I have acquaintances that disagree with me. My brother doesn't align with me perfectly. My mom and dad don't align with me perfectly. Not everybody in my family aligns with me perfectly. Not everybody I work with or that I know aligns with me perfectly, and that's fine. I'm perfectly okay with them having differing opinions because that means we can have a conversation, we can have debates, and we can have all these sort of things, but we can still be amicable with each other. We could still be friends with each other. We could still hang out with one another, and we could still respect each other. I believe that as long as you have a good character and are a respectable, kind person, then it does not matter if your views align or are different. Grow up. True diversity means tolerating views you disagree with, not demanding everyone thinks the same. Yes, agree. Like I said, you have to respect other people's opinions, even if they are wrong or stupid or retarded. You have to. Everybody has a right to their own opinion. Just because you don't like their opinion or how they think, doesn't mean they're a horrible person. Everyone needs to grow up and fucking touch grass.
Hot take. The VTuber community papers have wildly different political opinions, tolerating views you disagree with, not demanding everyone thinks the same. So let's talk about this first part. Yes, a very large number of VTubers spend their entire online presence preaching about diversity and inclusion, and the second someone has any differing opinion on anything, they are ousted, they are blacklisted, they are harassed, they are excluded, and sometimes even worse. Even worse things are wished upon them. But yeah, I want to point out something here. This next point is really important. If you're a VTuber watching this, please listen to this next part, okay? This tweet has nearly 10,000 likes. Now, of course, people are screeching about this. They're seething about this take. But overall, this post has, by far, leaps and bounds, the most support among the hundreds of responses to this thread. And there's a reason for that. The people supporting this, sure, there are some VTubers in there, right? But the majority of people supporting this post are VTuber fans. I know, that's shocking, right? Something that's appealing to the actual fans, the people you're supposed to be entertaining as a VTuber. Crazy stuff.
Like I said earlier, for me, I think anybody and everybody should be welcome to becoming a VTuber. I personally do not care what your political views are, what your view on life is. I do not care in the fucking slightest. What I care about is if you have a good character, if you are respectable, if you are kind, if you have a fucking conscience, and if you, the other thing is, don't try and shove your views down other people's throats. As long as all of those are fine, then, you're fine by me. Just don't be a fucking dick and a retard.
Well, these fans who are supporting posts like this, they see this pattern of these virtue signalers, the endless virtue signalers in the VTubing scene who are hyper progressive. You can call them woke, whatever you want. And that's like all they do is lecture and preach, and people are tired of it. The people who constantly preach about inclusion don't want to include anyone who thinks differently than them. And in this particular case, anyone who's right of Mao Zedong politically is not welcome. Okay, people see this. And it's true, there's no study you can pull up, but if you just watch the VTubing scene on the Western side of things, there is overall a very left-leaning, hyper-progressive sort of viewpoint that is shared by the majority, okay? And they might be the loudest as well, and that just doesn't line up with VTuber fans. VTuber fans are all over the place. And proof of that is, think about the most successful indie VTubers. What are they? Almost all of them are apolitical. They don't talk about anything because they don't want to exclude or isolate a potential.
Yeah, a lot of VTubers, like you said, especially the very big ones, like Iron Mouse, Shy Lily, and all them, they tend to be more apolitical because they don't want to deal with the drama, they don't want to deal with the idiots, they just don't want to deal with any of that. They just want to have fun, have a good time with their audience and everything. They just don't want to stir up a hate storm, a drama storm, or any of that. So they just tend to stay away from the politics and all of the other stuff that's going on in the world. So they mainly just have fun and watch funny videos, those sort of things. So they just tend to stay away from all the politics and stuff because, like I said, they just want to have a good time. Which is it's fine. If you want to stay away from the politics and stuff, that's fine. But there are plenty of other VTubers who do talk about politics and all this sort of stuff. And if you want to learn, if you want to hear other people's opinions, then go to them. Or if you don't want to hear any of them, then I'd say go to the ones that are just apolitical and just don't talk about it at all. Either ones are fine.
Audience base, because they care more about entertaining people than virtue signaling and sharing their political opinions or trying to impress other VTubers. That's the problem here. A lot of these VTubers who are very hyper-progressive, they post about the modern thing every 2 seconds because they want to impress not VTuber fans, but other VTubers. They want the seal claps from the other VTubers. That is more important to them than actually building an audience. And that's tragic for them. Think about it. How many super outspoken, hyper-progressive VTubers do you see out there with a tangible amount of success, like a long-term career level of success as a VTuber? Practically none. In fact, some people would say zero. And it's not that surprising because it doesn't.
Personally, for me, I don't care if I don't impress anybody. I like to be me. I don't like to be anything other than myself to just try and impress somebody or keep somebody happy. I think that to me, that just sounds exhausting. And I don't understand why there are people who don't keep to who they are and just try and act out a different persona than what they are just to make others happy or just to appease people. Like, I don't get why you do that. What is the point? Just be yourself. Like, for me, what you see in my stream is the exact same person you'll see outside of my stream. I don't like to be anything, anybody or anything other than who I am. And if people don't like who I am, then that's not my problem.
Line up with what VTuber fans actually want. And then we think about, you know, what is this moderate conservative or anything right of center? Like, what does that even mean? Well, this is a good point in the replies. Crazy the amount of VTubers I have seen labeled as alt-right for simply reacting to a shoe-on-head video.
God, yeah. People get so much shit for reacting to Shu or liking Shu. And she's an awesome person. And she has very based takes. But those who, you know, agree with her or align with her or react to her just seem to get instantly labeled alt-right for some stupid ass reason, which I don't understand. But it happens, and I personally don't get it.
I have seen multiple VTubers who are, you know, not problematic in the eyes of all these other VTubers for the longest time. Then they reacted to a shoe-on-head video, and all of a sudden now they're an alt-right. They're alt-right, and they are blacklisted, and they're terrible, and now they're free to harass and dogpile anytime you want. I have seen this play out multiple times. And then you have posts like this saying, Girl really just said, why am I being penalized by other VTubers for being a bigot? It's not fair. Then proceeded to talk about VTubers in SS uniforms and applauds Kirsha and Nines. Oh, of course. So I think their comment about this right here was that they said a VTuber tried to do this gimmick, provided shock value. And, you know, personally speaking, I think...
You know, I think it's really stupid how a lot of these VTweeters or other people think that just because a VTuber has a military uniform with a certain type of a hat is instantly an SS uniform or a Nazi uniform. It's just like, do you know the military history of military uniforms? Do you know the history of that hat? It's not just solely under SS or under Nazi. You need to read up on your fucking history, you dumbass.
It was cringe and stupid. But yeah, they mentioned that, yeah, that got a lot of attention, even though it was negative. And then they lumped that in with applauding Kirsha and Nines. And it's just like, we see...
I don't know who Nines is, but I know who Kirsha is.
Kind of what you're doing here. On top of that, being penalized for being a bigot. Yes, that's right. Anything that is not lining up with your views 100%.
All right, here's the thing. What we're going to do here is we're going to look up what the actual definition of bigot is so people can know. Definition of bigot. A person who is obstinately or unreasonably attached to a belief, opinion, or faction, especially one who is prejudiced against or antagonistic towards a person or people on the basis of their membership of a particular group. Don't let a few small-minded bigots destroy the good image of the city. See. All right, here. What does a bigot person mean? A bigoted person is someone who holds strong, unreasonable, and prejudiced beliefs against people or groups with different backgrounds like race, religion, gender, or sexual orientation, and stubbornly refuses to accept or tolerate different viewpoints, often displaying intolerance, hatred, or closed-mindedness. See, this is a bigoted person, and this is what bigot means. And these people keep using the word bigot just for those who even slightly have a differing opinion to what they have, and which is not what a bigot is. These people are using words that they have no idea of the definition of said word is. If you're going to use a word, make sure you know the meaning, definition, and of said word and how to fucking use it in a sentence correctly. If you don't, you're just going to look like a fucking moron. So learn this shit correctly before you try and label somebody as such.
Is bigotry. And then we have this post saying, really hoping the dam breaks and all the big apolitical VTubers come out as woke to make it even harder for you guys. Yeah, I wouldn't hold your breath on.
Yeah, no. Pretty much all the VTubers that I watch or that I know are not woke. They're not going to be woke because woke does nothing but destroy everything it is attached to.
That one, that's never going to happen. Let's move on to some more hot takes. Sorry I spent some time on that, but that was a pretty important one right there. VTubing is just a medium, and the VTubing community doesn't and will never exist. Correct.
Yes, this is absolutely correct. VTubing is more of a space or a sphere, like I've said before. The community part of VTubing is only... The only thing community is of the VTuber itself. Like, I have a community. Smugalana has a community. Iron Mouse has a community. The community only exists within the singular VTuber because that is their community. VTubing in and of itself is not a community. It's just not. It's just factually not. It is a medium. It's a sphere. That's just what it is. So the community aspect is only exists within that VTuber.
Correct. There is no such thing as the VTubing community. There's no hive mind of VTubers, but obviously there is a scene. There's like culture to it. But the most important community you can ever have is your community. That's it. That's all you should care about building, not appeasing a VTubing community where you're impressing all these VTubers and trying to fit in with them. Work on building your own community. That's it. That's the best thing you can do. This isn't a hard job. Correct.
Annie Pants. Yep, that is true. Content creation, VTubing, and streaming, it is practically one of the easiest jobs you could ever have. Anybody who is lucky enough to do this full time and be able to pay their bills just by doing this, you are lucky. I work a 9 to 5. I have a full-time job, and I do this when I get home from my full-time job. I don't make anything from doing this. And honestly, if I had a choice, I would rather do this than my full-time job, because this is so much fucking easier than doing a 9 to 5. Mentally, this can be hard if you don't allow yourself a break every now and then, but this as a job is one of the easiest jobs you can do in the entire world versus a 9 to 5. I would much rather do this than a 9 to 5. I can tell you that right fucking now.
Correct. Yes. Being a VTuber comes with very unique challenges, and that's true with content creation, right? You face things the average person's not probably ever going to face with their regular job. Mm-hmm. But please, be humble and understand it's not that hard. It's not that hard. It is a great privilege to be able to make content for a living. It's something I'm very appreciative every single day. I think about it all the time. Super lucky. So get off your high horse. Understand there's challenges, but don't be a Hassan Piker saying streaming is harder than a 9 to 5 job or anything like that. Cringe. But let's move on to this. VTubing is not inherently a LGBT or liberal space. It is literally just a different way to stream, and literally anyone with any views can do it and shouldn't be shunned because they hold different values. I run into this a lot as a Christian who happens to be a VTuber. If you want to instantly rile up a hornet,
VTubing in and of itself is not inherently anything. It is just a medium to which you can stream through. So it is not inherently anything at all. Anybody who says that VTubing is inherently LGBT or inherently woke or inherently this or that, they're full of shit. Because it is not inherently anything whatsoever. Hello, Trey. How you doing?
nest of so-called accepting and progressive people come out and say you're a Christian as a VTuber. Good luck. You're going to be harassed. You are now open for attack because in their eyes, you just committed the ultimate form of bigotry. You have completely dehumanized yourself, and now they're going to harass you endlessly. That is the way it works, unfortunately. But again, if you focus on what you actually care about, and I always recommend keep your circle small. And if it doesn't really work out with fellow VTubers, touch grass. That is an option. You can touch grass and get your interactions with people in real life as well. And quite frankly, it's typically a lot better. But anyways, yeah. VTubing is just another means of producing content, and it shouldn't be inherently anything. But unfortunately, a lot of the VTubers in the scene, especially the most loud people, try to exert certain values, and it might be frustrating at times, especially for someone like this, but the best thing you can do is just focus on yourself, ignore them, understand that a lot of it comes out of jealousy and mental illness as well. A lot of the pent-up anger that people are constantly spewing all over the place on Twitter as a VTuber. But yeah, the best thing you can do is focus on yourself, focus on your community, and understand that a lot of these crazies in the space are, well, they're just that. They're crazies. But let's continue on. A bunch of copy-paste lookalikes attacking anyone who sticks out.
God. This one I never understood, unless you were like blatantly copying another person's VTubing avatar, like, you know, color for color, look for look, just completely like plagiarizing it. Unless you're doing that, I don't understand why it matters if somebody sort of looks like another VTuber. I mean, there are only so many artists and stuff that can make VTubing models, so a lot of them are going to look alike. And I don't think that really matters if another VTuber has a model that looks like another one. Like I said, unless they are blatantly, you know, just plagiarizing somebody else's model, I don't think it really fucking matters. These people are taking this shit way too goddamn seriously. Like there was a VTuber who had a model that had similarities to Shy Lily, and she got absolutely fucking flamed because people were thinking that she was just completely copying Shy Lily. And I thought that was just a shithead thing to do, to attack her for having a model that just looks like hers. It's like, it doesn't matter.
This is very true. There are a lot of copy and paste. Right now, the VTubing scene is about, let's see, let me check my watch here. About 5 years past oversaturation. Okay, like literally everything is so oversaturated at this point. Like everything's been done before, pretty much. Okay, it's very hard to be unique and to stand out, but it's something you should try to do, and you can do it with your model, or you can do it with your content. Whoa, who would have thought of that? Yeah, that's the best thing you can do to stick out. But yeah, there are a lot of copy-paste lookalikes. They see what a big indie VTuber X does, and they think, oh, if I look close to what they look like, I'm going to stand out. No, it's the exact opposite. It's going to make you even more forgettable. So if someone's looking for, you know, a certain type of VTuber design, right, are they going to watch the fresh, new, indie with 10 viewers, or are they going to watch the original with 5,000 viewers? I think the answer here is very obvious. But of course, I like this last point being made by Banana Juju, who we've talked about at least like 2 or 3 times on this channel. Attacking anyone who sticks out. Wow, they would know about that. If you don't remember the lore of this VTuber.
Yeah, I thought it was really fucking sad how everyone was attacking how Juju's character looked, and you know, especially her having dreads. Like, people are thinking like dreads only belong to this race. It's like, you realize dreads and cornrows, you know, not a singular hairstyle, belongs to a singular race. All hairstyles have been in all different cultures, all different races. You can't just claim a hairstyle. That's not how this shit works.
They got dogpiled by who? Not the VTubing fans, vtubers, for having a fair-skinned model with dreadlocks, apparently based on their real-life appearance. VTubers lined up in droves to harass this person. It was a coordinated, massive harassment campaign, and guess what happened? A lot of VTubers got their clout from other VTubers and impressed them with their very progressive views, but Banana Juju went from like a few hundred followers to like tens of thousands in a matter of days because VTuber fans rallied behind someone being a victim of a harassment campaign by these hyper-progressive VTubers, and also just liked what they saw and enjoy her content as well, and I'm glad she's still making content to this day. All right, here's another one saying, immersion breaking sucks, hand cams are fine. If you're going to face docs and body post, do it on a side account at minimum if you want to call yourself a virtual YouTuber. There's too many tourists in VTubing. It's full of cliquey mean girls and drama, something, anything for views.
I don't really mind or care if somebody wants to show how they look IRL if they're a VTuber. I mean, if you want to do that, go right ahead. I don't think it really matters. I don't understand why a lot of people have such a problem with VTubers that show how they look in real life. I mean, one person I know that has done it is Tricky. She's fucking gorgeous, my God. And there are other ones like Cottontail has done it. I mean, she wears a face mask and, you know, glasses, but she shows herself. And I don't understand why a lot of people have a problem with, you know, breaking immersion or any of this stuff. I don't think it really matters. People take a lot of this stuff too seriously. They think it breaks some sort of ritual or some sort of unspoken rule or whatever. It's like, just let people do what they want. Let them do what makes them happy. If you don't like it, well, then that's not their problem.
So I agree with the last 2 parts. Very true. Too many tourists. There's a lot of cliques and mean girl and high school behavior, for sure. This is like personal preference. A lot of people feel like this. If you're a VTuber, you should never post anything IRL. I'm more on the side of I don't really care if you do, as long as it's not like the core of your accounts. Like, if you're posting as much IRL stuff as your VTubing stuff, at that point you've become an e-girl with a VTuber model. Like, I don't really know what else to view that as, because we all know like posting IRL photos of yourself as a VTuber is going to get you a lot of views on Twitter. If that's important to you, go for it, I guess, but you're going to make a lot of people kind of annoyed after a while. But whatever. What's more important, Twitter likes or building a legitimate community that cares about your actual content? I don't know. Here's another one saying the VTuber versus IRL fad was and always will be a terrible idea. So
I'm sort of iffy on this one. I personally don't care about it. But I mean, it's nice to see what people look like behind the mask, so to speak. But it's just like, it's a fad. It comes and it goes. I don't really care either way. I mean, it's like I said, it's nice to see the people behind the mask, but
there is a VTuber versus IRL trend on Twitter. It pops up every couple.
Yeah, I think so far I've seen it pop up like 3 to 5 times at most.
Couple of weeks where people show their VTuber model versus what they look like in real life. And there's other examples of people calling VTubers ugly or something, and then people post their face in response saying, well, I'm not ugly. Yeah, you know what? You can post whatever you want. But I think this whole thing
I think the VTuber versus IRL pops up like maybe 1 to 3 times a year, and that's about it.
Recently with Grok, where they've made it easy
Grok.
on Twitter to add edits, like very, let's say, transformative edits to people's photos. Yeah, you might want to be careful with what you post on the internet. Okay.
I think they need to fix that with Grok, because people can just say, hey, Grok, put this person in this outfit, and Grok does it. And I think they need to fix that.
Okay. There's people posting like a safe for work selfie, and then people are like, Grok, put her in a dental floss micro bikini. And Grok is doing it. Now, this is nothing new. People have been photoshopping stuff for decades at this point. I just think it's more in people's faces. So now they're really like, whoa, this is gross. Yeah, so be very careful with what you post, because people are going to do weird stuff. Doesn't mean it's fair or nice, but you need to take precaution. Don't just post something out of spite or for a trend because you want some likes on Twitter. Think about what you're doing and whether it's worth the risk or not. Okay, next one. Some VTubers actually fake their illnesses to use them as a way for e-begging.
Yeah. There are, I know a couple of VTubers who haven't faked their what they've gone through. You know, one of them obviously being Iron Mouse. Another one I know is Vex Milk, where she has been dealing with cancer on and off. I think for like, as far as I've seen, like I have 3 to 5 years. And sadly, from what happened, she can't have kids, which I feel really bad for, because I think she's wanted kids, but it sucks when it happens and it makes it so you can't do that. But there are definitely people, both IRL and VTubers, who do and have fake their illnesses because they want the attention and because they know it gets views, it gets clicks, it gets people donating. But they don't understand that, like, when people find out that they are faking, the backlash from it is fucking immense.
Yep. This has happened multiple times. People have faked illnesses to basically crowdfund money. And that's not really unique to VTubers. It's like the internet. But yeah, and there's also a lot of other cases where...
I mean, a real famous one for the IRL was the guy who faked being in a wheelchair until he fucked up and got up out of the wheelchair and got a shit ton of backlash for that.
You side-eye it, right? You're like, I can't prove it, but something's not right here. And of course, you're not going to accuse someone because they can just deny it. There's no way. You can't make them go to the doctor and bring back a note for you or something. But yeah, there's a lot of shady behavior with that type of stuff. And unfortunately, going back to this one more second, the people who are actually suffering from illnesses are affected the most by this, because...
Yeah, it's like, the thing I can equate it to is like the Me Too movement, where a lot of how out of control it's gotten, where a lot of girls just fake being molested or sexually or SA'd just because they don't like the person, or just because they don't like how the person looks. And what that does essentially is it makes it harder for the ones that has actually happened to. So like for those who are faking their illnesses, now a lot of people are second guessing those who actually have illnesses. They're being second guessed because of these sort of people who are faking it. So it makes it worse for those who actually have a legitimate illness.
Then people are skeptical unfairly of the actual people going through hard times or illnesses or whatever. Okay. VTuber news accounts are the bane of my existence. They don't know about journalistic integrity. So more often than not, them prying for information comes off as harassment. They are biased. They have an agenda. They will never apologize. They are only there to stir the pot.
I don't honestly. I don't know of any VTuber news accounts. I mean, the only sort of I would say news accounts are ones like Rev and others who report on what's going. Like Rev, he basically talks about stuff that's going on Twitter. There's another one that talks a lot about what's going on in the VTuber space in general, and a couple others who do that sort of thing. I think that's probably about as close as I've gotten to sort of VTuber news accounts, quote unquote. But as far as actual VTuber news accounts, I don't really know of any that exist. Then again, I don't know every single VTuber that's out there.
This is like that Japanese soldier who, after World War II, was stuck out in the forest and didn't know the war was over and kept fighting for 29 years. That's someone getting mad about VTuber news accounts. Like, how many are actually left at this point? The majority of them have either, like, semi-retired or just completely given up because of how toxic and annoying everything is in the VTubing scene. Yeah, if VTuber news accounts are the bane of your existence, you're probably doing something wrong or you need to find some bigger problems. And talk about journalistic integrity, that's your first mistake, thinking...
Yeah, it's like a first world issue. You don't have any worries, so you have to sort of try and create worries. That never made sense to me with a lot of people. It's like, why? You have nothing to worry about, so why are you purposefully creating problems for yourself? Just why? I don't get it. Why?
People uploading videos on YouTube are journalists. Big mistake. Trying to make this sort of a this sort of standard that doesn't need to be applied, and they're biased. Okay, they're not journalists. I always find that funny with like people get mad about like VTuber news accounts or any sort of account posting on drama or anything. Like, yeah, you can be biased. Why not? You can have an opinion. Who's saying you can't have an opinion or some sort of a lean? If you present yourself as someone who's independent, someone who's not going to take any sort of a bias, and then you do that, yeah, you're a hypocrite. But if you don't present yourself as a neutral person, who cares if you're biased, if you have an opinion or some sort of a lean? Here's another one saying, drama tubers, problematic fans, and parasocial fans need to be put on blast if they put their antics too far. Full names. None of this blocking out their name stuff. Most hate for Niji VTubers is a nothing burger, and it's not funny, it's annoying and childish.
Okay, blocking out the names, like I would say the only sort of names that should be blocked out is probably their real life, government name. But blocking out I'd say their social name, like like on YouTube, Twitter, Instagram, that sort of stuff. That doesn't need to be blocked out. But yeah, drama tubers are just problematic fans, parasocial fans need to be put on blast. Yeah, I think they do need to be called out because some of them are actually they tend to take things a bit too far sometimes, and it's just they should be called out. Their names shouldn't be blocked out or anything, but just their online name shouldn't be blocked out. Their actual government name where people can use that to dox them, yeah, that should not be used because nobody needs people to come after them in real life.
Wow. Simping for Niji in 2026, crazy. Yeah, as I recall, the Nothing Burger with Niji Sanji involves like systemic mistreatment of their workers to the point where we had a situation where one VTuber in particular was bullied by her colleagues in the organization so badly she attempted her own life. while the organization knew everything going on and didn't care. And then we have a million different things happening that show major problems with how things are run and how it's putting.
I think a lot of these big VTuber agencies have problems. They need to learn to take care of their VTuber employees a lot better.
Talents in danger. Yeah, I wouldn't call those nothing burgers personally. But also, we see this. Drama tubers, problematic fans, and parasocial fans need to be put on blast. I would love to see what this individual thinks is problematic. Yeah, we'll make sure this user is the arbiter of what problematic is. I'm sure he'll be totally sane. If someone is sending you death threats, they don't deserve privacy. Share the name. Yeah, 100%. So many.
The death threat thing, I could never. I don't think I will ever be able to understand. If you have a problem with something, just walk away from it. I mean, like, the creator, like, the one thing I can talk about, I can probably have an example of the most, is the creator of My Hero Academia. He got so much fucking hate, so many fucking death threats, because the fans didn't like the fact that he didn't make Bakugo and Deku a thing. They got so pissed that they didn't become a thing. That he got death threats and hate just for that. If you are one of those people, you need serious fucking mental help. You have a serious problem. You need to get offline, go outside, touch grass, get a fucking life. I don't get why there are people who would send death threats over something like that just because they don't like it. Like, what the fuck is wrong with you? It is so fucked up. Like, even the creator of Flappy Bird got fucking death threats. Like, why? It's a fucking game. Creators of shows, movies, games, anime, manga, manhwas, all of them get death threats. It makes no fucking sense to me. It probably makes no sense to me and people like me because we think logically and we live in fucking reality and we have a conscience. And if we don't like something, then we just walk away from it. Why am I going to waste any of my time on something I don't like? It makes no fucking sense.
People censor out threats they're getting. They censor the names, which I don't understand why you're doing that. If they're like a genuine threat or a bad actor, like, people should know that so they can block them or take preemptive measures or report them or whatever. And even blocking out their name, if it's a real post, like, people will find it. It's not that hard. And unfortunately, again, just like with the illness thing, a lot of people have faked threats against themselves. In many cases, they're literally posting threats on burners to themselves for attention, and they censor out the name so people don't go digging for the account. And unfortunately, again, the people faking it make the real threats less believable, and it hurts the people actually being harassed. Lolly and Shorta VTuber shouldn't be a thing. Well, you Shorta.
I don't see the problem with people having a Lolly or a Shota VTuber avatar. It doesn't mean they're a horrible person. I mean, look at Chibi Doki. She has a Lolly VTuber avatar. Look at Saba, formerly Gura. She has a Lolly VTuber. I don't I don't personally know any Shota VTubers, so I can't really name anybody for those. But there are plenty of VTubers who have a lolly character. That doesn't mean they're a creepy or bad person. It basically just means they have a lolly character because they think it's cute and adorable. And they themselves are probably cute and adorable, and so they want a model that matches how they feel or their personality or who they are. I don't see why people have such a problem with it. Especially those who think that they equate it to a pedo. It's like, if that's what you're immediately equating it to, I think that says more about you than the person who has a lolly avatar.
A tourist. If you don't want the general public to see VTubers as a bunch of jobless weirdos, start by kicking the jobless weirdos out of the VTuber sphere. Ah, yes. Let's appeal to the mainstream of fans. That's going to work out so well. Yeah, let's cave in to all.
There are plenty of even IRL streamers and VTubers who have never had a 9 to 5, or as people would say, a real job, who has just done this. I don't really see the problem. It's like, if they want to be weird, let them be weird. If they want to be jobless and do this, and if they make money off doing this and they never had a job, and I don't see why that matters. Again, a lot of these people are coming up with problems that just don't exist, and they're just problems they created themselves because they have nothing to actually worry about.
All the normies who want to call you a jobless weirdo for simply enjoying VTubers. You know what? Enjoying VTubers is weird. And that's good. It's good to be weird. It's good to have different interests, like being in the VTubing scene or enjoying anime.
I see nothing wrong with being a weird person, just so long as you don't take that weirdness into the creepy and stalkerish area. I mean, everybody's weird in their own way. I don't see a problem with being weird, just so long as you don't take it too far.
Or anything like it. It's okay. And when people call you a jobless weirdo, that's a sign that you shouldn't care what they're thinking and you should ignore them, instead of curating the scene to accommodate the people who hate you and everything you're interested in. Yeah, this is why gatekeeping is important. Do not listen to the tips and tricks of big streamers. Most of them made it big a couple years ago, and so tips don't really work now.
I'd say that depends on what the tips and stuff are. I mean, yeah, there are some that wouldn't work anymore, considering how saturated the VTubing sphere actually is, and how saturated streaming and content creation is. So some tips and stuff probably wouldn't work anymore. But there are some that would, and a lot of these, big VTubers are saying these things because it works. So some of their tips, I would say, yeah, listen to them because it actually works.
Yes, that's definitely true. But also, a lot of the people selling tips and tricks are people who never made it. You have an account, a VTuber with 500 followers on Twitter, telling you how to make it big as a VTuber. Like, yeah, if it looks suspicious, it's because it is. I've seen other people say this, but a big VTuber debut before actually streaming is just dumb. Get to streaming before investing thousands into a debut. I've had to convince multiple friends that getting a cool model doesn't mean you will like streaming. Yes, many such cases. Okay, the best thing you can do to start building a career as a streamer is to actually stream. Whether that means having a PNG or nothing on the screen other than the game you're playing. Just do stuff.
Yeah, you don't, in order to be like a VTuber, you don't need to start with a 2D or a 3D model. You can start with just a PNG. That is still considered a VTuber. Don't spend hundreds or thousands of dollars on a model that you're probably not going to like, and even after streaming, you're probably not going to like streaming. So, and if you do that, you just wasted a lot of money. So, I mean, yeah, commission somebody to create a character, but I would say, like Rev said, either start with nothing and build your community, your streaming through actual streaming content creation, or just have, the PNG of your model and build up your community that way before actually, and see if you actually like what you're doing before you decide to spend hundreds or thousands of dollars on a 2D or 3D model and debut that. So yeah, just start out with either nothing on the screen with just the game or whatever, or just start with a PNG. It's the best thing you can do.
See if you even like it before dropping a $5,000 investment on a model so you can debut in front of 7 people, because that's not how this works, okay? People who drop so much money just for a big debut, like, no. Go out there and stream. Plus, it puts like so much weight onto your debut. That's why I think a lot of VTweeters never actually end up doing it, because they built up this debut so much that it's going to be disappointing to them no matter what happens. But anyways. Oh my god, please link your eye blinking. Apparently there's a setting, I guess, in VTube Studio where you can fix your blinking so you don't do a... See? Didn't even mean to. Good advice, I refuse, because I like my accidental winks. It's engagement bait. It's good. And it's whimsical. So good advice, but I will politely decline on that one. Female VTubers can be completely untalented. If they have an unhinged personality, they'll succeed. Turns out...
I don't think I would fully agree with that one. Because there are female VTubers who have an unhinged personality, but they still don't really bring in much of an audience because they're not really that entertaining.
A lot of guys out there like unhinged women. I know.
Don't get me wrong, there are plenty that do succeed, but not all of them.
Crazy stuff. But it's definitely the truth. Simple formula. Okay, just look around. A lot of successful unhinged personalities out there, but don't be too unhinged to the point where you can't function, or like you do like crazy stuff that'll get you in trouble. But yeah, it definitely is a pattern here. Some of y'all's designs are really boring and forgettable. One of the first things people judge you on when checking out your profile is your design. Make it memorable. This is true in many regards, but there's like a million really cool models out there.
Yeah, there are plenty of very simple models, like Rev here. His is very simple. The only thing out of the ordinary with his model would be, the fangs and the elf ears. But yeah, it's very simple, but he has a personality behind it that people like. So he has an audience that keeps coming back. So and there are plenty of VTubers who have a really, really cool or out there model, but because they don't have really much of a personality behind it, they don't really retain much of an audience. So they don't end up doing well. So I think when it comes to creating an audience and retaining it, I'd say probably about 10-15% of it is how your model looks, but 85 to 90% of it is the person behind the model. Because if the person behind the model is completely boring and has nothing to give through said model, then they're not really going to do well. They're just going to have a tiny audience or no audience at all.
So the best thing you can do to stick out is your content. And sometimes simple is the best. Like, really. I think sometimes having something a little more simple can make you stand out. Okay, like you have these VTuber models, these 10 grand models now people are pulling out. It looks like an episode of Pimp My Ride or something. They have like all these ridiculous gadgets on there, a million toggles, and all these things they're never even going to use anyways. Like, sometimes simple is better, and invest your money somewhere else. But not wrong at all. But anyways, ladies and gentlemen, that was a yap session. that's going to do it for today's video. I hope you guys enjoyed the hot takes. As always, feel free to share your thoughts about today's topics in the comment section down below. Hope you guys enjoyed the video, and I'll see you next time.
Yeah, that was a good one. I yapped for quite a while. Well, that is the end of this video. I hope you all enjoyed it. If you did, please make sure to give a like and subscribe. I post videos 3 to 5 days a week here. I also post videos over on my other channel for gaming as well, so please make sure to give that a look-see, see if you enjoy that as well. I also stream anywhere from 3 to 5 days a week as well. Links to all my social medias will be on my YouTube page. And with that being said, I hope you all have a wonderful rest of your day, and I will see you all in the next video. Bye-bye.